This is the MMA Brief Podcast, recapping the world of mixed martial arts every single week, with your host, Brandon Johansson.
Welcome back to the MMA Brief Podcast, recapping UFC 206 and UFC 207 this episode. Let's get right into it. December 10th, 2016, UFC 206 took place in Toronto, Canada. Featured Max Holloway versus Anthony Pettis in a semi-title fight. We'll get to that in a second. A lot of stuff happened. This card flew under the radar. Last-minute replacements and all sorts of jazz happened. But this card delivered and was one of the best cards of the year, if not ever. Early on in the prelims, the fight pass prelims, in fact, Lando Venata landed a beautiful spinning back kick that knocked out John Makdessi in the first round. An early, or should I say, late contender for knockout of the year, Lando Venata, with an effortless spinning back kick knockout of John Makdessi. It was a thing of beauty. The card just kept getting better, though. And it wasn't really until the pay-per-view portion of the card that it really heated up. Kelvin Gastelum versus Tim Kennedy. Excellent performance from Kelvin Gastelum at 185 pounds. He recently had missed weight at 170 and rebooked a fight with Tim Kennedy, who had not fought since his loss to Yoel Romero nearly 2 years ago. Kelvin looked fantastic and got the TKO win in the third round. After that fight was Cub Swanson versus the Korean Superboy Do Ho Choi in another late pick for Fight of the Year 2016. Excellent fight. Brought it. Both of them. Insane amount of damage distributed between both fighters. Couldn't really ask for a better fight. It was the unofficial main event of the night, really. It was just fantastic. Cub Swanson was able to get the unanimous decision, but man, Do Ho Choi has a hell of a chin. He took some crazy shots. And Cub Swanson, for that matter, also took some pretty significant damage, but clearly won the fight, in my opinion. After that, Donald Cerrone took out Matt the Immortal Brown in the third round via head kick. Excellent fight. Really liked the action in this fight. Donald chased Matt Brown to the ground in the first round, and Matt Brown threw up a triangle choke really quickly. And it wasn't as tight as I thought it was, but it really caught me off guard, and I bet it caught Cowboy off guard that Matt Brown was so active from that position. Second round, Matt Brown actually stunned Cowboy with a straight punch and put him on his butt for maybe a half a second. Cowboy got back up, was very cautious as he proceeded through the rest of the round. And when round 3 started, it was really just a matter of time, and Cerrone set up the head kick perfectly. Beautiful finish from Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Can't wait to see what he has in store for his next fight at 170 pounds. And, of course, the main event, Max Holloway versus Anthony Pettis for the interim featherweight title. Sort of. Pettis missed weight, so Holloway was the only one eligible to win the title, which ended up working out because he won the title. He was able to TKO Anthony Pettis in the third round. First person to stop Anthony Pettis in his mixed martial arts career. Excellent performance from Max Holloway. And he's the new interim champion. Hopefully that fight with Aldo happens. Not sure yet. But Aldo has been crowned the official featherweight champion of the UFC. So, love to see that unification bout between Max Holloway, who's on a 10-fight win streak now, and, of course, the greatest featherweight of all time, Jose Aldo. So, yes, December 10th was an excellent card. And we're going to go ahead and fast forward 20 days to UFC 207 from Vegas. The return of Ronda Rousey. Everyone was waiting for this. There's a lot of talk going into this fight? Was Ronda Rousey in the right state of mind? She was obviously in the right state of physical condition. She looked fantastic physically, shredded, but she had a media blackout. She had an arrangement with the UFC where she did not have to partake in any media whatsoever. They did a little countdown piece, and the cameras followed her around for a few days, but she didn't have to do any interviews whatsoever. She didn't have to do any pre-fight press conferences, anything like that. And all in the hopes that she just wanted to focus on this fight only. She didn't want to have to focus on everything else, which a lot of people are saying unfair because everyone else has to. The card really got kicked off at UFC 207 on the FS1 prelims. Alex Garcia landed a devastating knockout of Mike Pyle. One-punch knockout. Mike Pyle was coming in for either a knee or a teep kick and was just knocked into full retard immediately. It was sad to see if you're a Mike Pyle fan, which I am. It seems like his chin has gone and left him in the middle of the night. And maybe it's time for him to move on to maybe a coaching role or acting, whatever else he has in store. But fighting at this high a level doesn't seem to be in Mike Pyle's interest, especially after this last knockout loss to Alex Garcia. The FS1 prelims main event was Johnny Big Rig Hendricks, the former welterweight champion, against Neil Magny. Very controversial fight. I 100% thought that Johnny Hendricks had done enough to win this fight. No doubt. I was wrong. The judges awarded it to Neil Magny by unanimous decision. Found that hard to believe. 29-28 across the board. I really thought Johnny had won 30-27, and I thought maybe there'd be a 29-28 snuck in there for Johnny. I didn't have Neil winning the fight whatsoever. I thought he might have won a round. Apparently he won 2 by all judges considering. The pay-per-view heated up when TJ Dillashaw took on John Hands of Stone Lineker. John Lineker has looked absolutely unstoppable at 135 pounds when he can make the weight. He made the weight this time, which was important, but he had won 4 straight since he moved from 125 pounds up to 135 pounds. Looked like a killer, beating some really tough guys in the division. Michael McDonald, John Dodson, Francisco Rivera. TJ Dillashaw completely shut down everything that John Lineker does. John Lineker's a savage when it comes to ripping body strikes, the hooks to the body, hooks to the head. You kind of know what's coming, and that's why I kind of favored TJ in this fight, because he's a very smart fighter, and he was able to use really brilliant head movement, footwork, and takedowns mixed up with the striking. I really liked what I saw from TJ Dillashaw. His ground and pound was great. John Lineker has a granite chin, an absolute granite chin. He was taking punches and elbows from the bottom and egging TJ to do it. It was crazy. Full-on elbows to the face, and he was talking trash to TJ Dillashaw. Absolutely love that fight. And hopefully that sets TJ up for a bantamweight title shot, which he 100% deserves. It's the second number 2 contender he's beaten in a row. He is the number 1 guy. Hello, TJ Dillashaw. In the co-main event, we saw Dominic Cruz dethroned as champion to Team Alpha Male's Cody Garbrandt. Cody looked absolutely incredible. It didn't even seem real how good he looked against Dominic Cruz. Knocked him down 3 times throughout the course of the fight that went the full 25 minutes. Unanimous decision for Cody Garbrandt. I mean, I was shocked. I honestly, watching it in the first round, I thought Dominic looked very slow. Thought maybe he might have been injured because he just wasn't his normal self. And I hate to make excuses because I don't know. He's not making excuses. Don't get me wrong. Dominic is not making excuses one bit. But just for my eyes, I thought Dominic looked not as fast as usual. And Cody looked like he was on another level. And there you have it. We have a new bantamweight champion, Cody Garbrandt, setting up somewhat of a rivalry matchup here. Not somewhat, an absolute rivalry matchup between TJ Dillashaw, the number one contender, and the new champion, Cody Garbrandt. Both have trained at Team Alpha Male in Sacramento. TJ Dillashaw has moved on. Cody Garbrandt is Team Alpha Male's lead pupil right now. And there's been some trash talk between the two, mostly from Cody Garbrandt, claiming that he knocked out TJ Dillashaw cold in training. And he says his coach, Justin Buchholz, has the footage on his GoPro. TJ denies the claim, says he's only time he's ever been knocked out was against John Dodson, and he wasn't even out. He was stunned, and the ref stopped it. He said that was it. That's the only time he's ever been knocked out. I don't know. If they do set up this fight, it'd be interesting to see if that footage just so happens to get out. Or if it doesn't, then, maybe Cody's a liar. I don't know. I really don't know. But why would a man say that he knocked another man out and say there's video footage of it if he doesn't want to prove it? I'd like to see the footage, or I'd like an acknowledgement that the footage is not real. And I want to see these two guys fight, absolutely. I think it's a great fight for both of them. Cody is just a killer. Great boxing, excellent wrestling, and he showed in this last fight he could go the full 25 minutes and absolutely box your face off, nullify your attacks. Dominic Cruz hadn't lost in over a decade, and his last loss was in a different weight class. That's how long it was. Cody Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw is absolutely the fight to make at 135 pounds. I cannot wait to see this. I can't wait to see the trash talk unfold, maybe even some footage. Not that I want to see TJ get knocked out, but I just think it's very, very strange that Cody would say that he did something he didn't. So I think it's a very, very fun fight. Can't wait for that one. I think they're both very big tests for each other. And that's what makes that one really compelling. And then, of course, in the main event, you had the return of Ronda Rousey, the UFC's biggest draw, biggest pay-per-view draw, and she was stopped in 48 seconds by the champion, Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes just looked like a killer, and Ronda Rousey looked like a shell of her former self, unfortunately. She was stunned with a combination about 10 seconds into the first round and never recovered. Amanda just kept putting it on her, and to Ronda's credit, she's tough as hell. She took all those punches and refused to go down. She refused to get out of the fight. She just kept wanting more. However, she just kept blocking the punches with her face, so to speak. Because she was blocking the punches with her face, the referees jumped in and called the fight at 48 seconds of the very first round. Unfortunate, if you're a Ronda Rousey fan, this may mean the absolute end to one of the biggest UFC stars that there has ever been. So it's very sad in a way, but it's also, on the other side, it's a dawn of a new era. Even Mike Tyson had his time where he was no longer invincible. Muhammad Ali had his time where he's no longer invincible. We're living when Anderson Silva is no longer invincible. This happens in combat sports. And your window is very short. No one really knows when it's going to be the end. And it really seems like this is going to be the end for Ronda Rousey. I hope it's not true. I really hope that she comes back with a very game mentality where she wants to start, I say shit, the number 10 bantamweight in the world. Give Ronda Rousey the number 10 bantamweight in the world. Put her in there. If she beats that girl, which she should, put her in against the number 7. If she beats that girl, put her in against the number 5 or 4 fighter. And if she beats that girl, make her win 4 fights and get her swagger back and get her confidence back and develop her skills to the point that she needs to be. I hope it's not the end of Ronda Rousey, but it's not looking great for her. So, like I said, sad on one hand, but the UFC absolutely undoubtedly has a new star in Amanda Nunes. She has crushed Miesha Tate. She has crushed Ronda Rousey. I don't know how you can't market her. If you look at her highlight reel, she smashes bitches and she chokes them. A combination of the two. Upcoming here, we got UFC 208, which is barely buyable, in my opinion. Holly Holm versus Germaine Durandamy for the inaugural women's featherweight title. They have created a 145-pound division, and Holly Holm and Germaine Durandamy are going to have the first crack at that title. A lot of controversy. Everyone said, why didn't Cyborg get the title shot? Man, this is bullshit. This isn't even legitimate. Cyborg was popped for a performance-enhancing drug test by USADA. After the fact, they had offered her the fight. She said, no, I can't take that fight. They offered another fight. No, I can't take that fight. And then USADA tested her, and she pissed hot. So that pay-per-view right now, it's got some decent fights. Travis Brown versus the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. Couple other ones, but man, no one's getting excited about this card. I really hope that they add one, maybe even two blockbusters to this card. But I really don't think they will. My opinion is I think that they want to push this as the women. 145-pound women's title is the feature. It's Holly Holm. She knocked out Ronda Rousey. I just don't think it's enough firepower, honestly. That's going to be the feature. I think that'll be the main event, no matter if they even add someone else to it. But, there's other fights to make. I'd love to see Wonder Boy Thompson versus Tyron Woodley. Again, run that back. But I don't know what the fight will be. But they need to beef that card up, and it'll probably fall into the co-main event slot if they do add it. Thanks so much for catching up with me. MMA Brief Podcast. We'll be back next week.